Welcome back to the I Don't Want a Divorce podcast. Today's topic, it's time to leave your abuser, part 1. You have made all your preparations. You've listened to these podcasts based on the Enough is Enough book, and hopefully you've actually read the Enough is Enough book, which is a specific step-by-step plan to leave your abuser. I define abuse. I describe exactly what it's like living with an abuser, so you know if you have an emotional abuser on your hands or a physical, that's more obvious. And I tell you why it's biblical to leave your abuser and exactly how to do it. Now, I'm going to walk you through in this podcast and the next podcast what you do when you leave your home. But first, 2 things. The first thing, my brand new self-published book, which is 20 Lies That Keep You With Your Abuser, is available now on my website, davideclarkephd.com. That's Clarke with an E. Our printer did an amazing job. We have all the books in stock now, and so if you order now, through June 30, you get $5 off this excellent book. It's going to be $20 on July 1st. It's $15 now. So you order this book now. We have it in stock. The blonde Sandy will send you your book. And again, this is my, frankly, attack on Christian codependency, which the church often fosters, keeping women, especially, in these abusive relationships. If you're caught in Christian codependency, you're believing these 20 lies, we're going to shred them in this book. And it's the beginning of your freedom. It's like a 1-2 punch. If you are unable to leave your abuser, you're stuck in all these lies, and you read this book first, and then you graduate to Enough is Enough, and you can get out of your abusive relationship. Again, this book is only available, it's self-published, only available on my website. Christian publishers begged the blonde and I, begged us to publish this book, and we said no. Okay, nobody begged. But we prefer self-publishing, frankly, because we control what I write. I don't like people telling me what to write. And the second thing is subscribe to this podcast if you're seeing the value of it, and leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. This helps us grow and have more impact. All right, today's topic, it's time to leave your abuser, part 1. You are finally ready to leave. You've prepared your kids to leave. It's taken months, maybe a year or more, in many cases, and you have worked hard on the steps of my escape plan in the book, Enough is Enough. After you've spent months building a boat from scratch, there comes a point when all the work is done and it's time to launch the boat. Okay, now it's time to launch the boat. I've done my best to show you that you are on solid biblical ground for leaving an abuser, your abuser. You're not leaving a decent husband who has made some mistakes. You're not leaving a husband who makes you unhappy at times. I make the blonde unhappy at times. You are leaving an abusive, unloving husband who refuses to stop his evil, destructive, God-dishonoring behavior. That's who you're leaving. Again, Matthew 18:17 makes it clear. Unrepentant sinner, you've confronted, you've taken some steps, he could care less. What do? You leave him. Romans 16:17, same thing. Get away from the unrepentant sinner. That's what you've got. 2 Timothy 3, verses 1 through 5. You read those verses. I'm not going to read them now, but you read those verses. It describes a narcissist to a T. God knows exactly what you're dealing with. And at the very end of 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 5, what's the tagline? Get away from him. Get away from that person. You are leaving a dirtball who is ruining your life, a dirtball who is slowly destroying you and slowly destroying your children. That's what you're leaving. And God is in full support of that. In fact, God wants you to. He'll allow you to stay, but he doesn't want you to stay. Now, getting out will be ugly. I'm not going to kid around here. And those of you that have left know how ugly it's going to be. It will be messy. It will be extremely difficult and painful. But it's time to go. It's the right thing to do. Now, here's what to do next. No direct contact for 1 month. Once you leave, and again, everything's done in secret, and you leave. With the help of your support team, move with your kids into your new place. Ideally, move out when your abuser is not home. A secret move is easier and safer for obvious reasons. If he finds out about the move, surround yourself with your support team members and move out anyway as planned. You don't do it alone, you have people there. Recently, I had a phone advice client whose husband worked from home. He was like always there. She said, how can I leave? I said, get your, she had her dad in town, a couple of your brothers, pastor who was very supportive, and they come and you move out and he's there, but you're protected by your support team. And that's exactly what she did. Now, after you've moved, you go silent for 1 month. Have no direct communication with your abuser. You need this time to get settled in your new home and to give you and your kids time to adjust. Now, before your abuser discovers you're gone, take whatever money you can legally remove from your joint accounts and deposit it in an account only you can access. Once you've moved, have your attorney take the legal actions necessary to protect you financially. That's what the attorney is for. These actions may include filing for legal separation and or temporary support. Your attorney will know the legal steps to take. Now, most abusers will blow up your phone with a ton of messages. You simply don't respond in that month. Do not tell your spouse your new address. He'll find out eventually, but you want to delay it as long as you can as you get settled. A lot of different pieces, of course, when you move. He's not welcome in your new home, ever, until and unless he changes. And it's too soon for that. Even after he knows where you are living, do not allow him to pick up the kids there. For drop-off and pick-up locations, use a neutral and public place, such as a parking lot, a mall, a park, whatever. If you've chosen a new church, start attending it with your kids. When your husband has the kids, he can take them to the church he attends. You don't care. Have personal protection. Vitally important. We see every day in the media, don't we? The estranged husband, the upset boyfriend who ends up killing or seriously harming his woman who wants to get away from him. You don't take any chances here. Get some form of personal protection. I've heard on the radio lately there's these aren't like regular guns or firearms, but there's guns that will fire, pepper spray or pepper bullets. Look, whatever. You find out, your local gun shop will have these options. Of course, you can get a gun too if it's okay in your state. The first few months are the most dangerous. This is the kind of guy that even if he knows he can't have you, he may do harm to you. Your abuser's humiliation and loss of control, which are his own dumb fault, but nonetheless, those could push him into physical violence, even if he hasn't been violent. If your husband has hit you in the past, he's almost certainly going to come after you physically. So if you've got a physically abusive guy, you had better believe you have personal protection. But I'm telling all of you to do it. Even if he has never been physically violent with you, your leaving him could easily cause him to cross the line. It's far better to be prepared for violence than to hope and pray it won't happen. Don't assume you're safe. Again, I get a taser, a pepper spray. If your abuser has a serious anger issue, consider purchasing a handgun and applying for a concealed weapon permit. In fact, that could already have been in place before you leave him. No problem with that, and keep it with you. That's what purses are for. Some of these big purses and bags women use, hey, have it in there. Now, a concealed weapon permit will take time, as I mentioned, several months or more to secure. There are classes to take. There's an application, of course. If you believe you need a handgun, start this process well before you leave. If your abuser is a violent man, alert the police department to your escape plan. This way, at least you're on record. They won't do anything. The police won't come until after something has happened. So you alert them may speed the process if he wants to come after you because it's on record, and it might help you legally. But of course, the fact is, the police aren't there when he comes to harm you. You're going to be ready with protection. It's vital that you make a plan to protect yourself and your children. Protection begins with this mindset: I will not be a victim anymore. Even Jesus instructed his disciples to buy a sword for protection. Yeah, that's Jesus. Luke 22:36. He was not going to allow the disciples and their work for him to be interrupted by violent people. In this area of protection, I turn to a close Christian friend. His name is Bob, actually is Bob, for his expertise. If you decide to buy a firearm, here is what he recommends, and he knows what he's talking about. He said, we don't learn to drive by buying a car. There is a process. We don't learn to drive by buying the car. There is a process. We don't learn self-defense by buying a firearm and putting it in a drawer. Training is important. You got to get the training. There are local classes that teach handgun safety and use. Call your sheriff's office for the names and locations of shooting ranges and classes. Don't Google these ranges or classes because your abuser may be also spying on your internet use. Again, this is hardcore stuff, but I want you to be safe. If nothing else, it's peace of mind. Don't be thinking, oh, he would never do that. He's already done lots of horrible things to you, and you've never left him before, have you? This is a moment of danger. Now, in this month of no contact after you leave, here are some more actions you need to take. Deactivate the GPS on your phone and your car. If you need help doing that, get help to do it. A dealer can do that, or a good mechanic. Some abusers are stalkers, so you need to be vigilant and always aware of your surroundings. Create a new email account. Change all your passwords. We don't want him checking on what you're doing. Set up a 2-factor authentication on all electronic accounts. Get a new cell phone number. Consider subscribing to credit monitoring. Ask your attorney for strategies to protect yourself in this digital world. Now, there are apps you can use to communicate with your abuser, and your attorney will also know this. You want as little contact as possible. Now, I'm going to cover this in the next podcast, but again, even as you leave, if you've got children, minor children, then you have to work out, even though you're not having contact with them, through your support team, you'll work out, the time he'll spend with the kids, because you can't prevent him from doing that. So in my next podcast, more on what to do when you leave your abuser.